Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Scary Stories by the Campfire. We are your host tonight for the final Phantasm installment. I'm Jeremy,
And Jason.
and this is Ravager, the end of this movie series. And what an ending it was!
Yeah,
Holy cow!
I'm on the fence with this one. I'm on the fence with this one.
Offense because um, it was bad CGI, or fence because bad CGI and story sucked.
I'm gonna tell you guys this. Is that just a shout out to you guys. Can you guys see us? Because I got the stream going up on the Twitch, but apparently my boxes are grayed out.
Oh, it's going in and out for
There.
some reason. That's weird.
Great. Okay. It's gonna be one of those. The curse of the phantasm continues.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing that, but I mean they're still up and running right now, so I think we'll be okay.
You had a good stream, boy, but the stream is over. Now you black out.
Anyway, Jason, go ahead.
This is actually a bittersweet ending, because on one hand I'm like I'm ready to move on to something different, but on the other hand I'm really sad to see this series go because I had too much fun with it.
It was a very good series.
I don't care like how bad it was. It was fun all the way through, except for 4. 4 was awful.
4 is the most boring of them all.
I think I need to go back and just kind of rewatch all of them. I actually do have them on the Vudu now. I bought each one of them on the Vudu, so ta-da! So I can watch them whenever I wish. But overall, I think this is one of the weirdest series of movies I've seen. It had a little bit of everything in it. It had the weirdness. It had the confusing plot.
Yes, it did. There was so many plot changes in this movie.
It not just this movie. I'm talking about like the entire like series in general.
Oh yeah.
Characters that you actually like. Cheesiness of like everything, and yeah, we even throw in some very now you're frozen, Jeremy.
That's interesting.
This is the weirdest thing ever. I do not know. Am I frozen?
No,
Am I frozen again?
You're still moving.
Oh, sweet. Well, that's okay. No one comes to see you, Jeremy.
Huh.
Oh, that was so mean. I'm probably gonna hear that a lot in the comments.
Hold on. For some reason, the whole camera thing is going wonky. Hold on. Right now, you're just
Okay, so I'm gonna continue on so this podcast doesn't get all blah while we're trying to play with cameras and whatnot. But
what's up? Jason?
Hello.
I lost you there for a second.
Oh, well, it wouldn't be the first time I got lost today. So what got cut out?
I don't know, but keep going.
Jeremy's bailing out. Jeremy's jumping back in. Now,
that's better.
The thing about this movie is that I don't actually consider it the worst of the movies.
No?
I don't. I think that title does go to like 4.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think it goes to 4.
In my opinion, the way these movies run, from my favorite to my least favorite, it's probably 1, 2, 3, 5, and 4. Like those two get switched. I know that the series definitely dropped in quality as it kept going, but I think the only reason this one, and we're gonna talk about it some more, is that this movie, even though it was mildly confusing for a lot of people, and the CGI was like really, really bad.
Oh, the CGI was terrible.
That this movie still kind of had this interesting twist to it.
Yeah, you know, the thing about this movie that I just truly liked, I felt like there was so much going into it that we expected that we just didn't get from the other movies that we got from this one. It kind of went back to those old roots of being able to confuse you with what was going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if this movie, because we're gonna get into some really deep stuff here in a moment. This movie has like a very confusing setup. And what the problem is that if you're new to this series, you're not going to understand. Like, if this is the first movie you jump into, you're not going to understand it. Heck, I'm 5 movies in, and I mean, at the point I was 4 movies in watching this one, and I'm still going, what's going on? And I think that's kind of what the point is. The point is you don't know what's real and what's not. Now, they like to do that with the first one, that people, that was kind of the big thing with the first one, was like, you don't know if it's real or not. The kid Mike spends his entire time doing this whole shtick through this movie, and then right at the end, he kind of wakes up and Reggie's there, and he's like, Mike, your brother in a car accident, and it's like, so is he just making it all up in his head? I mean, that's the premise that they were going for, right?
Yeah.
And I thought an interesting twist in this one was the fact that maybe this whole entire series was just Reggie with dementia.
Yeah.
He's just living in this world, but I think it does change partway through when we start playing with alternate realities and parallel universes and all this weird stuff. So you get like I think the real time split happens at the end of Phantasm 4 when Reggie walks into the tuning fork portals, or whatever you want to call them. Is anyone else having an issue with Jeremy's camera over there, or has Jeremy just got it turned off?
It died. Like, it completely shut off on me and won't turn back on.
Oh, the camera won't?
Yeah, the camera won't turn on for some reason. Like, I think that's what was going on, is it just died completely. So, I'm out of a camera right now.
You're out of a camera right now. Okay, so Raven says, I hated this one for the reason that it wasn't... Huh?
Hated it.
I hated this one for the reason that it wasn't real and he died, but he did tell Reg that he had the same dream.
He didn't die all the way, though.
Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Think of it this way. Let's try to make sense of it, because this is going to be a fun conversation. Reggie, at the end of part 4, walks into the tuning fork portals. I don't know why I call them that. They're just portals or whatever, but I like to call them tuning fork portals.
They look like tuning forks.
Yeah, and they hum like tuning forks. But he walks into one,
Yep.
and disappears. And that's the end of the movie. That's the end of the
Yep.
movie. This movie picks up with him walking in the desert, and the way he describes it is that he came out the other side or did whatever. I don't even remember like the first couple minutes of it, if he described even what happened. But he was out. He came out of the portal and found that his car was stolen. And he was out in the middle of the desert. He found out his car was stolen, and this is where this particular character starts. And he's the one who runs into Dawn, who owns a little farmhouse, who ends up getting killed,
Yep.
and her farmhand gets killed. So you have that one, and then you have Reggie walking out into the forest or whatever, and he sees like the big sphere in the sky, the big giant sentinel or whatever up in the sky. And then you have Reggie 2, who is the Reggie we see that's in the hospital. And Mike comes up to him, and apparently Reggie, or not Reggie, Jody is alive in this timeline per se. And they're like, whatever's going on, you've got dementia and you're making these things up. You're just kind of believing these things that you're that are happening. Then you have timeline 3, which is where Reggie doesn't come out because he's been captured by the tall man. And that's the one where Mike gets up and wanders the desert for a little bit. And that's where you get like that whole post-apocalyptic, where the tall man has taken over everything. So in this movie, you have, in my opinion, 3 separate timelines that all branched out from when Reggie walked into that portal. Now,
So, real quick, little side note. The scene where Reggie's in the bed talking to Jebediah Morningside,
mm-hmm.
that is the last scene Angus Scrimm filmed as the tall man.
And a word on that. Throughout this entire movie, there's very little tall man. I mean, he's in certain scenes, but there's very few and far between. And whenever you do see him in a lot of like far off shots, he's very CGI'd in. And I just think it was because Angus was just too old to be doing the role. The close-up shots with him, he's still intimidating and whatnot, but I think the reason they had to do those far-off shots was because he probably just couldn't do it. He actually, he passed away before this movie even got released.
Yes.
He passed away in January, and this thing didn't get released until I think October here.
But he did get to see it. They actually finished filming and stuff, and he got to see a demo of it before he died.
This and see, I want to play devil's advocate, because I always want to go like, I don't want to be that guy who goes and sees a movie and is like, this movie's awful, it's garbage movie. This is the worst movie I've ever seen. I don't ever want to do that, because I always think about it as, these are people's jobs. These are what people put. I'm hoping that they put their heart and soul into this. This is like their baby or their child that, they want to make. And if you have a crew like, you get reoccurring actors to come back and play roles, even though they're getting up there where they can't really do it anymore. Yeah. You got a casting crew that just really wants to do the movie, and so the movie comes out bad. Okay, it doesn't come out the way you want it to. It's either the special effects are bad, or the story's bad, or the acting's bad. It's allowed to have those faults, and yes, you can call it a bad movie. It's this movie's not a good movie, but I respect the effort that they put into it to make this happen, because I would have really hated for Reggie to walk into the tuning fork portal and that be the last of Phantasm altogether. That's the end. And this one does leave a few doors open, but I don't think we are ever going to get another Phantasm. And if we do, they either need to just kind of gently reboot it, because I don't think we can do another one without Angus Scrimm as the tall man.
Yeah, and like you said, it's good to have all these returning characters. A. Michael Baldwin for Mike, Reggie, Bill Thornberry for Jody. Like, it was good to see him again and keep this, like you said, keep it alive. Like, apparently there was no prior production news. It was announced to the world as a completed project on March 26, 2014, and a teaser trailer was released the following day. No notice. They were just like, hey, this movie's done, by the way. Here you go. Enjoy. But one thing about this movie, and I'm glad they kept it, it's another girl that dies talking to Reggie.
Twice. She died twice. She died with the thing in her head, and she died in the
got her neck broken in the red world.
Red Planet. But here's something.
Those Sentinels were insane. The big ones, the big balls, destroyed.
Yeah, it got too hokey for me when you had like the big giant like saucer Sentinels that were like blasting buildings and stuff.
What were you gonna say, Jason?
Oh, I was gonna say that Reggie's occupation. I'm getting this off IMDb under their like little trivia section, but I thought this was kind of funny. Reggie's occupation in the first film was an ice cream man, right? And apparently, for this movie, a real ice cream truck would often drive by the set with its music playing, forcing the production to stop and wait for it to pass. It's just funny.
Yeah, no. So that is actually quite funny, because I wonder how many people there bought ice cream.
I wonder if the tall man was like, well, he didn't like the cold. Okay, okay. Me and Raven were having a debate. The other day. I don't even know why I have the thing up, because I can't see Jeremy anyway. Me and her were having a debate where she was saying that she said that the what maybe she'll comment in the chat stream there. Didn't you say that the cold didn't bother him or something? Because I said he had a weakness to cold. Because they said they're going to drive north where it's like really cold in because the tall man doesn't like the cold, and I think she said something about like how do they know he doesn't like the cold or something like that. Because I think in part 3 they locked him in the freezer.
Yes.
Part 3 they stabbed him and locked him in the freezer, and he did that scene. He did that scene in the first movie where he's standing by the ice cream truck and he's got the door open and that the cold air's coming out. And I said maybe that was him like feeling that cold, and he was just like he's making, because people have commented on that scene and they're like, is he making like an agonizing face, or is he making a face that's like exciting? Like maybe Raven says he keeps smelling like Mike. I wouldn't use the word smell. I'm going to assume, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to assume that he wasn't smelling Mike per se. I'm gonna say that he was sensing Mike because later on it's established that Mike has one of those gold sentinels in his head. Maybe it's a combination of both. Maybe the kind of the cold air coming out of the ice cream truck is painful to him, but he can also sense Mike because he has that gold sentinel. What do you think, Jeremy?
I think that's the same way. I agree with that. I think that when it comes to, that's why he was always after Mike, because I think him and the tall man had a weird connection that nobody else had.
That is the one major problem I have with this movie. I don't have a problem with the weird multiple timelines or the alternate realities or the parallel dimensions. I don't have problems with that. I have a problem with the fact that they don't actually explain anything about the tall man. I still don't know what he is. Is he an alien? No. Apparently he's a guy who travels through time.
Jebediah Morningside.
Yeah, I guess he figured out how to move through space and time and was able to, I want one more movie. I want one more movie where it is a bunch of Reggies from all different universes taking on a bunch of Tallmen from all different universes. That's what I want. That's what I dream for. But it's never gonna happen. But that's okay. Because it would probably be a really bad movie. Really bad.
It was funny because when he's sitting there at the hospital talking to Mike, he's like, Mike, I don't feel comfortable here. Give me a 4-barrel shotgun and I'll feel comfortable.
Yeah, there was
like,
a lot
Reggie,
of...
you don't even use it.
He used it about just every movie, even though it didn't have the same kind of effect you would think it would have. It kind of, it's like a normal shotgun, All right, Jeremy, let's talk about this movie and its characters, because we got a lot of kind of newer ones introduced. I mean, we had Dawn, we had...
Yeah, I like the dwarf. Move over, Baldy.
Chunk.
Is that his name?
Chunk, yes, his name was Chunk. Let's talk about Chunk, shall we?
Played by Steven Jutras.
Yeah, pardon Jeremy if he says that wrong.
He's not in anything except for this and like 2 other things. One of them is a short called Butt Fighters.
What?
He's in a short called Butt Fighters. He plays somebody called Pepper Muldoon.
Pepper Muldoon. Wow. Okay. Let's talk about Chunk real quick. We cannot excuse the elephant in the room, that how the tall man gets beat by a small man.
It's not even that. Okay, I want to know how this man literally, like, survived grenades with just his hand missing.
Me and a coworker at work were talking about that same thing, because he's seen this movie and in a way he hates this movie. But since I've started talking to him about it, he's like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense, and I can actually what's the word? I can actually see it from that angle, and it makes it a little bit better. But he's like, and we actually talked about it. I said, how does this small guy with 4 grenades strapped to his body run up, kamikaze dives the tall man, explodes, and then in the mid-credit after scene, he crawls out of the portal, missing a hand and a burned face? And we got to talking, and we're like, maybe he kind of slung the grenades before he got there. He was like running, he jumps, slings them off, and they explode, and that's what blew his hand off. I'm thinking maybe it had something to do with the planet. Maybe.
Everything does act differently on the red planet.
Or it could just be bad writing.
That's just as likely.
And it's kind of funny because it's like, oh, look, Rocky's in the movie. And
you get 30 seconds at the end.
Yeah, she's just kind of there. That's like having a Star Wars movie and having like let's say you do like let's do like Star Wars and you got your 3 big players, and then like you got Luke, Leia, and Han, and then you do another movie and you got well, that's an interesting fact.
I read that during the first Phantasm movie.
Phasma, Captain Phasma.
Yep.
It's so funny because she says right here, the character Captain Phasma from Star Wars series was named so because according to J.J. Abrams, director of The Force Awakens, the metallic appearance of Captain Phasma reminded him of the tall man's metallic spheres. And you know what? She was just about as much of a useless character too. They build her up to be this big threat in the movie. They kind of introduced her in the first movie. Plays this kind of... I don't even know if she even plays much of a role in the second movie, but by the third movie, she just gets killed off. And not even like a proper kill. She just falls in a hole, I think. I think her and I can't even remember what the character's name was.
The honey mustard is supposed to be a embalming fluid.
That makes sense. Is embalming fluid yellow?
Yeah, I think so, or close to it. I like honey mustard better.
Well, honey mustard's always fun for funny laughs, but you're not gonna go, oh my god, he's spewing out embalming fluid. Yeah, everything about this movie was revolving around death to an extent. That's why I think that I think it was a slight cop out, in my opinion, that that after the Reggie in the hospital passed, that it did show like the other 2 Reggies still alive.
Yeah,
I get the idea of there being the parallel universes and whatnot, and the other Reggies surviving in their timelines, but this movie would have just... I know people would have probably hated it, and I would probably agree with them that I would hate an ending like that, but this movie is based around death.
Yeah.
And I think they even wrote the first movie on how like people handle death. It's kind of a subject that people don't like talking about. They don't like, opening up about the idea of death and whose it's and whatnots it's. And I think that's why the first movie was made. And I think, like I said, I would have probably hated it, but I could respect it if they just had Reggie die. Like,
in all ways.
Well, don't even show those alternate realities. You don't have to show those. You can show them throughout the movie. You can show them throughout the movie, but then when he does pass at the end of the movie, don't show him no more.
Yeah.
That leaves the audience going, was he just suffering from dementia and everything was not real? Or is it possible that he may still exist in some sort of alternate reality type thing? Because Mike had mentioned that he had a dream about him in the desert. So it does leave it up to the audience to pick and choose which ones they thought was the correct form, but I would have rather have just preferred Reggie to pass at the end, and that would have solidified this movie this series in of itself, because you don't have a tall man no more because the actor has passed, and you wouldn't have a Reggie no more because he passed in the movie. So I think that would have just been like, that's the end of the movie, and that would leave fans sitting here wondering, like from the first movie, is this real,
Or is it
or is
Phantasm?
it like is it real or not? Did all this stuff happen just in his head, or is this stuff actually happening? Like I said, I would have hated it because Reggie is such a fun character, but I think in the grand scheme of things, sometimes it's always better to kill the main character off to kind of solidify it.
Reggie was my favorite character.
I think Reggie was everyone's favorite character because he's the one who had the most. Every time you saw, Mike in the first movie, because Reggie was a very side character in the first movie. It was more like Mike and Jody, but then when they kind of kicked Jody off and gave it to Reggie, it was Reggie and Mike for the second movie. Mike, just as the movies went on, he was just there for me. It was like he wasn't funny. There was nothing really like special about him except he had a gold ball in his head and he had some sort of connection to the tall man. But other than that, it was a Reggie movie all the way.
All of them have been a Reggie movie. Ever since the second one.
Let's see here. Ravenfire says he was so fascinated with any possible connection between our world and the world of the dead. Jebediah's research eventually led him to construct a machine that enabled him to travel through time and space. So yeah, since he revolves around death and being a mortician to begin with, it makes sense that his yellow blood was meant to represent embalming fluid, but that doesn't explain the brains and the balls. Or balls for brains. I don't know. Where was Mike's brain? How does one of those spheres sit in your head? Does it just kind of crush into your... Yeah, that's why Mike didn't have much of a personality. He had so much more personality in the first movie than he did in the later one.
Definitely.
He actually had a lot of personality in the second movie.
So, rank the Phantasm movies, Jason, from top to bottom. Your favorite to your least favorite.
I did. Is 1, 2, 3, 5, and 4.
Oh, okay. Really?
That's exactly the way I would go.
3
1, 2
beat 5?
That was the road trip one. Yes. Yes, I'm gonna go with 3 over 5 because, and I'm gonna explain it, and then you can put yours on in order and explain it. I picked 1 as the best because it is the original, and it does have like that perfect balance of is it real? Is it not? Like when they literally say that in the trailer, that is what they're putting on paper for you. That is what you are getting. You're getting this movie that kind of plays weird, and you're kind of getting all these weird vibes. You're like, is he an alien? Is he not an alien? Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. And then you get to the end of the movie, and then you're kind of left with that ending where you're like, oh, that does make... Oh, okay, so is it all in his head? Or maybe not. Second movie was by far the craziest movie I'd ever seen in this entire series. It was out there. and it's played more straightforward. Like, yes, the yellow man, the tall man does exist. The yellow man, the tall man exists, and he is in the process of taking dead people and turning them into dwarves and sentinels. And then the reason I put 3 over 5 is because it continues that trend. It just makes it bigger. Like now he's doing it from town to town. And yes, it had that weird sense of like Mad Max that I wasn't entirely on board with. You go to a town, it's completely dead. But it still continued that trend. They just made it bigger. It seemed like the tall man in the first one was just working on a graveyard, and then by the time it was the second movie, he was working on a town, and by the third one, he was working on a whole county. He was just moving right along. In the fourth movie, I don't remember the fourth movie because it was boring.
Desert.
It's boring.
Desert.
So, yes, desert. And 5 takes the place of right before 4 because it's like I said, everything about this movie was not great, but it's still kind of bookend with the first one where it's all over the place with all these timeline things, and that's what made it interesting. It still had some fun moments. It was still kind of crazy. It was still kind of confusing, but it was more enjoyable than the fourth one. The fourth one I may have to go back and just rewatch it, but I just sat there and I even said on last week's podcast that we have been watching these movies one every week, and I got to this one and I'm still confused. And by this point, something should be explained, and they just kept giving you more questions with no answers. So Jeremy,
mine would be 1, 2, 5, 3, 4.
Okay, tell me why.
So the first 2 are the exact same reasons as you. Like, I love the first movie. I remember watching it. There was just something about it that I absolutely loved. And when we rewatched and we've talked about it, like everything that I loved, we've talked about. It's that feeling of what is going on, what is happening, what is, what's real, what's not real, what, is it real or is it phantasm? And given the budget that they had, they made a good movie with the money that they had. They didn't have this big blockbuster budget. But with the second one, and they got that big blockbuster budget, it just blew up. It was just balls to the wall crazy, more action, more straightforward. But the reason I put 5 before 3 is because I feel like 5 kind of went back to those first movie roots of what is real, what's not, while 3 did not. And I got more of that original Phantasm from 5 than I did 3. 3 was good, but the CGI being bad in 5, like the story just makes up for it. Plus the emotional whiplash, going back and forth from the hospital to like the war zone was great.
Sure enough, I'll give you that.
And 4 was just boring, like you said. It's my least favorite. I mean, it's just a lot of talking in a desert.
Okay, Raven, PJ, and anyone else out there, you give us your ranking. You can just do them in order. You can use their numbers. We'll know which ones you're talking about. Just put them in like the particular order that you think you liked them the most to the least. So like 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, or 3, 2, 4, 1. It sounds like I'm trying to figure out a passcode here. Did you try 7?
Try 8.
1, 2, 5, 3, 4. What was with the slash? You just like those two are garbage ones. You're like 1, 2, 5, and those other ones, forget those. 1, 2, 3, 5, 4. Okay, they're even. Oh, they're even. Okay, so she likes 1, 2, 5, which is really strange. Well, I mean, how well did you like 2? Because you got a fine line there, because you literally said you hated 5. So did you like 2? Or was that like the okay ones? Like, great, okay, hate the rest. Give her a moment to respond.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, Jason, what would you give Phantasm V Ravager?
What would I give it?
Yep.
I would give it. I'd give it a 5. I'd give Ravager 5. Ironically.
5 of 5.
Yep, that's what that. Well, I mean, like I said, it has some good points. It has some bad points. It's not 4. Yeah. See, that's what I was talking about. The kind of unknown ending. Mid-credit scene, entirely useless. Didn't need that. I think they could have taken that out. Like I said, my preferred way, and I would have hated it because I really do not like a series or a movie where you follow the protagonist and he's a relatively likable protagonist throughout the entire adventure, and then they die in the end. I hate stuff like that because, I always think that movies should have good endings, but not everything in life is going to be good. So if it helps the story and makes it more compelling, kill him, But I think in this one, Reggie just should have died in the bed, and that be the end of the movie. I mean, that's just my opinion. But okay, so I gave the movie a 5. Raven gave it a 6, and PJ gave it a 4.5. What would you give this movie, Jeremy?
6.5.
6.5. Okay.
CGI is what kills a lot of it for me. The bad CGI. It made me look like I was watching one of them old sci-fi movies, like Piranha or.
Did they say anything? Did they say what the budget on this one was? I could have sworn I saw something that said that fans were helping with the CGI on this. They were like doing CGI scenes and sending them in and whatnot, and I'm not entirely sure. That could have been one of the other movies I could have been thinking about.
I'll see if I can find a budget really quick.
Gotta hop onto the IMDb.
I'm already on there.
Okay, so IMDb does theirs on a scale of 1 to 10, right?
Yes, 1 to 10. There's 4.8 thousand reviews.
All
so
right.
Everybody,
I'm gonna go with 3.5.
all right. And remember, this is Price is Right rules, everybody.
Don't go over. Got it. So shoot for the lowest number. All right, IMDb guys, what do you think the fans on IMDb gave it? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, Ravenfire says 4. What did I say? I said 3.5. She says 4. Okay, and PJ 3.
Oh,
3.
right.
She's trying to undercut me. Watch it be like 3.
And the winner is
Please.
Ravenfire with a 4.9 out of 10.
Congratulations! We finally dethroned PJ.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. That's how it goes nowadays.
And now, the Rotten Tomatoes.
This is not Rotten Tomatoes anymore. This is Rotten Sentinel. That's what they are. We're gonna give this movie a Silver Sentinel. Number one, the first movie. There were like different Sentinels in all these movies, right?
This one had some weird spike one.
That exploded. Did you see that thing?
Yeah. It looked like it looked like a flail end and it exploded.
Empire says rotten balls. That was pretty. It blew that guy's CG head off. Just. Yeah, I'm gonna get. Yeah, Black was kind of lame. It was just Jody, and he was like a silver one to begin with. He just got burned. And it was black, whatever. Silver is kind of, the
standard.
Yeah, red. What we only saw one time, it exploded, so that was cool. Gold likes to go through doors and
they went plowing through it.
And giant sentinels. Those were so. I'm gonna give the original movie a gold sentinel. I'm gonna give this one a red sentinel. I'm gonna give the second movie a silver sentinel. And I'm going to give the third movie a giant sentinel. And the last one can have the black one because part 4 can have black because it's just blah.
Well, with the Rotten Tomatoes, we go into the tomato meter.
Okay, so 1 through 100.
Yep. 1 to 100,
right,
Price is Right rules.
1 to 100, give us a number.
Let the games begin.
Dun, 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 dun. I'm gonna go with a if this is critic, so I'm gonna go with a 23.
A 23. Ravenfire's going with a 54.
No, Ravens
Or 50, I mean.
And PJ's going with a 58.
All right, and the tomato meter is the winner.
I'm gonna so get this one. I'm so gonna get this one.
Ravenfire with the tomato meter being a 54.
Are you kidding me? That's where you got the 54. Jeremy, you read the screen. That's 2 in a row.
Phantasm Ravager only works when it's a piece of straight up fan service. It's kind of sort of like with zombie door. What?
What? Something about zombies? And done.
Ravager's narrative alters reality so much it's almost impossible to know what's real and what's a dream. True to form of the previous installments.
That is what that is supposed to be. And that's why I just don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but these later movies are bad, and like I said, I don't like 4, but I will go back and rewatch these. This has been one of the first time. This is actually the first time that I've actually sat down and watched these movies. I've caught pieces of the first one, and that was about it. Anything after that, I don't know. And I have never really known this movie series to quite exist. I mean, I knew of it, like, oh, you know Phantasm? Yeah, I know Phantasm. But do you know about Phantasm? No, I don't know about Phantasm because I don't know what Phantasm knows about itself. This is just one of those movies that's just, I would go back and watch the series again. Because this has been quite a fun little romp into God knows what this thing is called.
So, with the audience score, 0 to 100.
Begin.
Let's see if Ravenfire can get 3 for 3.
A hat trick. Mortal Kombat. Ba-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Yeah, I don't know I'm doing that. People are going to actually listen to that and go, that is entirely wrong, sir. Don't do that. Going to offend people out there. 47-63. I call a 52.
You said a 52.
52. 52.
Well, in the words of blackjack dealers, players bust. 29%.
Oh my god. The critics gave this a higher score?
Yeah, they did.
Oh my god. I could have just used my 28 again and got it right.
You could have.
But I didn't.
You didn't.
Yeah, that's the game of blackjack. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
So,
know when to fold 'em.
Are you glad, Jason? Like, I know you said you'd rewatch the series, but is going through the series, has it been everything you expected it to be?
No. I didn't know what to expect. And guess what, Jimmy? I still don't know what to expect.
But I think I think that's the great thing about this movie is because when you go back and watch it again, you're going to learn something new.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's probably one of those scenarios where it could be like a video game series where you play through it and you enjoy it, but you don't always catch everything, and then you go back and play it through, and because you know how things end or how it plays, you go, oh. It was like when we get to it, we're gonna watch Hereditary during one of these sessions, and that movie requires a rewatch. Because if you don't know anything about the movie and you watch the movie, you may come out the other side a little confused. You may kind of go, oh. And they do kind of explain everything towards the end. And you're like, but then when you rewatch it, knowing that, you might go, oh, I'm catching it now. So this movie does require probably a rewatch to kind of, now that I know what it's about and what to expect, I can expect to catch a little more.
Well, I am glad that we got to share this experience together. Because my God Almighty, I love this series, and I've been waiting to do this one for a little bit.
Well,
it's definitely been an experience, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean it's been fun. I'm not gonna be here and like, oh my God, this movie was so bad. This was not Vacancy 2. Like I said, I hate being like that. I hate being like like Vacancy 2 was garbage movie.
Oh, it's a garbage movie.
There are people who worked on it, and do I think it was something that was necessary? No. But there's I mean, even we were reading some of the comments, Jeremy, there are people out there that actually like the movie. And you know what? That's okay.
Yeah, it's a great thing about cinema. It's all a matter of opinion.
Yeah, you're entitled to like what you like, and whether it's a good movie, bad movie, it doesn't matter. I have a whole library of movies that I own that if you look at Rotten Tomato, they're all garbage movies.
Oh yeah, I have one of them.
My Vudu is full of movies that are just splats. I'm like, but Mom likes to watch I'm call her out on this. She likes to watch Grown Ups.
Oh yeah.
She watches that movie like religiously, and it's like, oh my God. I mean, like the first one was all right, but yeah, the second one was just kind of eh. But yeah, they play those all the time. She just loves those movies. So everyone's entitled to their own opinion. All right, Jeremy. So we kicking it up with the new trailer?
Absolutely. So our time is up here, and again, we just want to thank y'all for coming out, sharing this Phantasm experience because we don't know if it was real or just Phantasm.
Well, we know what's real on this podcast right now, Jeremy, is that right now I'm the only one they're looking at. It's just me, baby.
No,
This is my show.
I've stepped into the tuning fork portal.
The tuning fork portal. That's where we are, the tuning fork portal.
I'm on the red world.
Then you gotta have your. That didn't make sense, Jeremy. They go into the red world with their face masks. They're like air breathers. Little dwarf dude doesn't have one. Why?
Well, next week is Jason's single movie before we get into his series. And this was supposed to be his single movie a long time ago, but for some reason they've announced it as it has a sequel, even though it doesn't.
Yeah, that was the confusion, because the way me and Jeremy, if you guys don't know, the way me and Jeremy set this podcast up is that we alternate between who picks movies. All right, Jeremy will do like a single movie. And when we mean a single movie, we mean a movie that doesn't have any prequels, doesn't have any sequels, doesn't have any remakes. It is literally one movie by itself. And like Trick or Treat, there's no sequel, no prequels, no remakes. And then that same person will pick a series. And then, then the next person will pick. And he had hit me up one time. He's like, "Hey, I need a single movie." And I gave him this particular movie as a single movie, and he was like, "No, you can't do that. It's part of a series." Because he was telling me there was a sequel, and I was like, "I don't remember there being a sequel, but okay, well, you pick a movie," because I can't think of one. We were getting ready to start, so you picked Trick or Treat, and then afterwards I picked Silver Bullet, but he picked Phantasm, so now we're going back to this one. So, without further ado, guys, we're gonna bow out, and we are going to hit that trailer up. Oh, what is it? You gotta wait for the trailer. That's how that works. Drum roll. Okay, we gotta say our byes though. All right, everyone just be safe out there, and yeah, we'll see you for movie night Monday.
Yes.
Good evening. Good night. Technically, it's nighttime.
Good night, boy.
Boy, this is gonna be the last time we can say this like officially, Jeremy. So get your boys out. Boy. You had a good series, boy, but now the series is over. Now it's trailer time.
I love it when a posh bear talks dirty.